the major population of the prisons, both county and state, were black, and the volunteers who were going in to visiting were all white volunteers. There were no black volunteers, and I thought, this, some black people need to be going into these prisons and trying to and be engaged with our people who were in prison.
And what kind of experience was that for you personally? I mean, did it change you in any particular way, or enlighten you in any particular way?
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the system, how it worked, and I learned about people who were addicted to drugs. I learned how forgiving children are of parents who are incarcerated. But it was also depressing. And after several years of that, I found on Sunday evenings I was not a very nice person to be with, that I was feeling kind of down. But I stayed with it, and for a number of years, and I also did prison chaplaincy work as part of my clinical pastoral education. And so I spent a lot of time in prisons, and I'm glad that I did, because people incarcerated need to know that somebody cares, and that out of sight is not totally out of mind.
You also, as I understand it, worked to desegregate an orphanage in Philadelphia?
Oh, now that was the Girard College situation. Girard College was a private school, boarding school, set up under the will of a former merchant in Philadelphia, Stephen Girard. And the will stated that the school was for the benefit of white male orphans. And Raymond Pace Alexander, who at the time was a leading black lawyer in Philadelphia, wanted to break that will. And he fought it through the courts, and then a young attorney, Cecil Moore, who was head of the NAACP in Philadelphia at the time, decided to take the matter to the streets and organized demonstrations. And many of us participated in marching around the walls of Girard College, which took up a huge amount of real estate and had a high wall around it, and it took up a couple of city blocks. But every day there was somebody out there marching around that wall. People like Freedom Smitty and Freedom George, and eventually the will was broken by the courts. But I think it was helped by these demonstrations. So I took my turn doing some marching around that wall.
And you also marched in Selma?
Yes, but sometimes people give you more credit than you deserve. I did not do the whole 50-mile Selma to Montgomery March. I participated in only a part of it.
But still, that was an historic event to be a part of.
Indeed, it was.
What was that? What was that personally? What was the part that you were a part of? What was that like for you?
It felt good. It felt like like I was supporting some people who had taken their life into their own hands and said, it's going to be different. And walking with that great throng of people, especially as you came down Dexter Avenue in Montgomery, and to be walking side by side with all kinds of people, some well-dressed, some in overalls, but people who said, it's going to be different. It just felt good.
Did you have any interaction with Martin Luther King?
No, the crowd was too big. The crowd was too big. But a lot of things were happening. We were out on the street while all the speeches were going on at the end of the march, and it got warm as the day moved on. And I looked up, and this huge mason jar of ice water was being passed from black hands to white hands, from black hands to white hands. Somebody said, we're having communion right here in the middle of the street. It was wonderful.
What a wonderful image. What a wonderful experience. Mm-hmm. One other event that I read about that was truly activist in terms of Church of the Advocate was hosting a Black Panther convention.
Yes, the Church of the Advocate often hosted people who had no place else to go. And there were not very many places in Philadelphia that were anxious to have the Black Panthers or a Black Power meeting in their facilities. But the Church of the Advocate was open to groups who could not find a home other places. Defense Rally for Angela Davis. Several of them, a couple of the Black Power conferences were held at Church of the Advocate. And so it was a place for all people.